Amidst the derailing talks of a nuclear deal with the West, Iran is eyeing the Shanghai Cooperation Organization's membership, a move that could transform the region's geopolitics. As a full-fledged membership could put an end to Iran's isolation and can counter sanctions by the Western countries. The Samarkand SCO summit for the heads of member states will also host Iran's Ibrahim Raisi with 13 other leaders. Reports suggest that Iran is likely to sign a memorandum of commitment to join the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. The SCO members will reportedly allow Iran to ratify the SCO's founding document, an international agreement. Let us now understand how SCO membership will help Iran. The strategic alliance with the group may lessen the economic woes of the country, as Tehran is likely to use the Samarkand summit for expanding its energy trade with member and observer states, bypassing the dollar trade system, which would become a major headache for the West that has imposed economic sanctions on Iran after accusing the country of attempting to make a nuclear bomb. Iran's alliance with non-Western countries would compensate for Tehran's unfavorable standing with Washington and other Western governments. It will also help boost Iran's position in regional trade by increasing its interconnectivity and interdependence with its neighbors and other Asian countries. Iran is likely to take the necessary steps towards becoming an SCO member. However, the procedure takes almost 2 years to be fulfilled. On Friday, Iranian foreign minister reportedly told his Uzbek counterpart that President Raisi's visit to Samarkand will be a turning point in relations between Iran and Uzbekistan. Uzbekistan was welcomed and has welcomed Iran's initiative and has said that focusing on the importance and capacity of Iran as a new member will be one of the most important topics at the meeting. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization's current members include Russia, India, China, Pakistan, and the 4 Central Asian countries of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. And for more on the story, we are now being joined by Syed Mustafa from Tehran. He is a political analyst and editor-in-chief of Iran's Far News Agency. Syed, welcome to the program. What does Iran's new membership status mean for Eurasia, and what is the significance of Tehran being part of the grouping?
Well, thanks for having me. Well, it's pretty well important to the Iranian government because when the new Iranian government was coming to office, its main platform and strategy for foreign policy and trade included looking to the East policy. This look to the East has been quite an agenda for the past several decades, but reformist President Khatami and reform moderate President Rouhani were eyeing conflict resolution with the West through the JCPOA, so they were not very much hectic to develop ties with the Eastern nations like China, India, or Pakistan, Russia, and others. But after the JCPOA failed, Iranians changed attitude in their next election and voted for the revolutionaries and voted for President Raisi, whose main agenda and strategy is based on looking to the East policy, including membership in the Shanghai Organization, as well as the BRICS group of countries, developing ties with India, with Pakistan, with all the neighbors, Arab neighbors, the escalation of tensions with some neighbors on the southern rims of the Persian Gulf, and establishing security and peace in all countries bordering Iran as much as we can help, and also developing ties and expanding ties with Russia and China, especially bringing into operation the South-North corridor, since Iran has a good agreement signed with the Eurasian nations. Iran can export some over 500 goods and items to these nations without any tariff-free. So it would be much helpful to bring back operation to thousands of Iranian factories, but at the same time, Iran is a major link in this South-North corridor, and it would cause lucrative market in receiving transition fees and transportation fees from other nations from south to the north and north to the south.
Right.
And this is especially important when Russia came under attack. And a few days ago, Mr. Putin said that his top priority right now is operating this north-south corridor to send goods, not only to Africa, but also to India, especially through this corridor that goes through Iran. So Iran knows this is a unique opportunity to enhance economy, trade, security, and foreign relations with the nations to the east.
Sayed, I'm going to ask you to be brief on this next responses. The process of full membership could take up to 2 years. When it comes to fostering relations, are we likely to see an improvement in bilaterals between Iran and some of the countries in the SCO, considering Iran has been isolated for quite a while now?
Well, part of the reason that, Iran has not been very much hectic in developing ties with some of these SCO member states was because the former government of President Rouhani was very much interested in expanding the JCPOA and working on, conflict resolution with the West. But Iranians were disappointed, as I said, and changed attitude in the next election. But the top agenda of President Raisi is developing ties with all these neighbors. That's why Iran signed actually a strategic cooperation pact with China, a 25-year-long pact in the last year of President Rouhani, and President Raisi has focused on that. Also, Iran has signed a similar strategic agreement with Russia after the Russian, war in Ukraine. Now, they have come under much sanctions. The Chinese are experiencing escalating tensions in the Taiwan Strait because of the United States. Now, there was a time when Iran was asking China and Russia to, develop ties, bypass the sanctions, though, as I said, the ties were limited to some extent. But now it's completely different story. The Chinese and the Russians have realized the reality. They appreciate the reality now, and they are asking for developing ties with Iran, similar way in the same way that Iran is resolved to develop ties. So these three are coming very much closer to each other. Now, as Raisi is working on developing ties with Central Asia, Armenia, and the Caucasus, even Iran is working hard to do détente with Azerbaijan and with many others. Iran believes that it's soon going to be a major hub and link to change the regional economy and politics soon. I believe in the next 1 year or two, Iran, China, and Russia would start very stronger ties and cooperation in all aspects.
All right, I've been talking to political analyst Sayed Mustafa from Tehran. Sayed, thank you very much for making time and for talking to WION today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.